Hello, everyone. My name is Andres Diaz. Me and Will are back again for another spectacular Marvel Plus talk. So today we're discussing, of course, the 2016 film Doctor Strange, of course, directed by Scott Derrickson, and of course, starring Benedict Cumberbatch in his first solo film, Doctor Strange. Will, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. And of course, was it last week during the Super Bowl? We got our second trailer of the Doctor Strange 2 film, of course, Into the Multiverse of Madness. Quick thoughts on that. What you thought about the full length trailer of the second film?
Yeah, it looked really cool. Um, yeah, there's a lot of like Easter eggs to look at, and I'm more excited for the movie than I was before. So
Yes, I am kind of in the same boat because I like the first teaser that we got from No Way Home, and then of course, and eventually online. I just saw more like Sam Raimi's touch in this trailer,
mhm.
which you didn't get in the first one, which is weird. But anyway, you just saw like the classic zoom, like the zoom ins to the eye, that you saw in every Raimi film, and and more the horror aesthetic that I think they were trying to talk about in for this film. And you didn't get that in the first teaser, but in the second one, you got more of the horror aspect in this trailer, especially with the zombify Doctor Strange, which is weird and it looks terrifying.
Mhm.
Um, Stuff like that. I'm excited for American Chavez. I think she looks good. Like
Mhm.
just from the comics, and that's pretty awesome. Yeah, so I'm excited for to see on obviously I'm excited for seeing Professor X maybe, or the version of the Lumiani, which is interesting. They're doing that in this film,
Yeah.
but yeah, overall, good trailer, I would say. And yeah, and more Wanda, which is good, which I
Mhm.
really like.
Yeah, I
Um,
love Wanda.
oh my god, yes. Ugh. Her costume is amazing in this film. It's just I'm so happy she has like a finally a superhero costume, or like a
Mhm.
more comic book accurate one. And I guess this is a good transition. Were you aware of Doctor Strange as a character? Kind of get into that. Like, where was your first exposure of the character?
Yeah, I mean, I'd heard of him, uh,
Okay.
and I'd actually seen there was this like animated movie that
Oh
was his origin
yes,
story from like 2007, I think.
yeah. I know what
Which
you're
that
talking
was
about.
really good. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Mhm.
And then I've read The Oath, which
I
is the
Yeah.
famous Doctor Strange story.
Oh my god, I read it recently. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my god. Yeah. Um, it's good you read it because, or it's good to read that book specifically because there's things that they took out from it into this first
Hmm.
film.
Yeah.
Like who's the character? Wes. He's in this film.
Hmm.
Played by Michael Stuhlbarg. That's what you call it.
Yeah. Stuhlbarg.
Stuhlbarg. Thank you. Um, like if you didn't know that that's a potential antagonist, or like just a character from the comics, it's pretty deep comic reference, I would say. And I like him in this film. I kind of wish we save him for like a villain role.
Hmm.
But we'll see if they ever
Yeah, he
adapt.
could come back. Yeah.
Yeah. Um.
Although I don't know, they're probably not going to go that. It seems like Doctor Strange is their new like character for the big like blockbuster visual things, and I don't know if The Oath necessarily. That seems like a smaller scale story than
Yeah.
what they're doing with Doctor Strange right now.
I I think personally for me, I think they need to rewrite the whole thing. Like, if because I didn't mention when we were discussing the trailer for Doctor Strange 2 about Mordor, Master Mordor.
Hmm.
Um, I like is that a variant from the multiverse, or is that the Mordor we know from this film? Like, because one of the things about this film, with the post credit scene is like we got Mordor is gonna kill all the wizards or
Hmm.
sorcerers in the world, and we
Yeah.
haven't picked up that storyline since 2016. Um,
Right.
and I think you can use Mordor as the villain for that story instead of Wes, maybe. But
Okay. Yeah. I think
I,
that would make sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
because in that story, like it's different from what I'm like saying. Like in that story, Wes is killing off sorcerers, but it's because he wants to like keep order, in this like magical realm, right? Where
Hmm.
Martyrs' idea is that he wants to get rid of those that is abusing the power because of what the H1 did in the film. So
Hmm.
like it's just completely different motivations from what is from the comic, with the villains.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. Um, so my first introduction to this character was, I think, in the '90s Spider-Man show,
Hmm.
where there was this one episode where Mary J is like, because this is where I actually met Dormammu and Mordo in the universe, is because of
Hmm.
the '90s show, because that's how they brought in Carnage in that show.
Hmm.
Like it's just so weird how they brought Carnage in, but that episode was so weird because Mary Jane was like in control from Murdo. Like she had connection with some magic thing. It was just very bizarre. That was my introduction with the character, and then I seen a little bit of the Ammunition movie.
Hmm.
I think it had really good ideas, which I kind of wish we had more. Like, I wish I had more hour and more time to expand the ideas.
Yeah. It was very short.
Yeah. Um, I kind of wish that, like, I like the idea of Strange having his sister, like the motivation to become this like what is it, egoistic doctor,
Hmm.
because one of the things I don't get by with this version of Doctor Strange in this film is that he's like very mean, or like what was the word, ego. He has this ego that I don't understand what these characters are talking about. Like he like Stark.
You know,
What do you think about that? Like you think he's very egotistic in this film, or
yeah. Um, I do. I don't love his characterization in this film because it feels too similar to Tony Stark. Like he's too snarky. Um, he should
yes,
be arrogant, not
that's the word I was looking for.
like sarcastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, like
Um.
he should be like cocky. Like he knows he's the best surgeon there, but like he shouldn't. I don't know. It,
hmm. It-
he's too like quippy
yeah.
in this movie.
Yeah. I Yeah. So I think this is a Kaufman main origin film. I thought it was the strongest like origin film, but then I think recently, like in my repeating view of this film, I think it just has this like hollow like experience of like we're like beating up like the beats of like an origin story from an
Yeah,
NCU film.
yeah.
Like he likes
I,
music, which is like a Star Lord or like a Tony thing, and then and, I don't know,
yeah.
we think like
Um, yeah. The first time I watched this, um, like the critique that Marvel movies are formulaic had been around for a long time when this movie came out. But this was the first one where I was like, yeah, this movie is just Iron Man with wizards. Like
yes,
it it felt very like formulaic. Um,
yeah,
the third act breaks that, and I love, and we can talk about that later. But like
Yeah,
for the first two acts of this movie are so generic.
yeah. Yeah, I yeah, like especially with the like montage of the training and like
Hmm.
how good he is, like learning fast with the magic. Like I I think that's like a potential good idea, but they don't like explore that enough. Um,
Right.
yeah, this I agree. The third act is really strong because of like we don't like I I think that's like the downfall of this movie is like I like how small it is, but then
Hmm.
it's also too tame. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you want Doctor Strange to be like really psychedelic and out there.
Yeah. You know, like that's what we're getting for the sequel, like
Right.
more crazy things, you know, with the supernatural and magic. And
Yeah.
I I just feel like this movie is just so tame and like it doesn't go with the big risk I kind of wish this film did initially.
Yeah. It feels like they weren't quite comfortable yet giving audiences like the full comic weirdness in a blockbuster, you know,
Yeah.
which
Um,
they definitely are now. So
yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
it bodes well for the sequel. But
Yeah. Yeah, and well, and it's also the director. What do you think about Scott Derrickson? Like, have you seen his other films?
uh, no, I'm not a huge horror guy, so I actually,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, I his films are like what you kind of see right now with modern horror. Um,
Hmm.
but he's very unique. Like,
Actually, I forgot he directed The Day the Earth Stood Still, and I've
I
seen
seen
that one.
seen that one. um, oh my god, that movie is so just like one of the worst remakes I've seen in my.
Yeah, I love the original. Um, but yeah, no, I don't remember anything about the
Yeah,
remake.
I mean,
Uh,
I what was it? Like they have famous actors in
I
that
know
film.
Keanu Reeves plays what's his name? The alien.
I know what you're talking about. Hold on, hold
Yeah,
on. Let me check it. I is he named Clute? That's what his
that
name.
sounds familiar.
Clutute. Oh my
Klaatu
god.
or
Yeah.
yeah,
Or, oh
yeah.
my god. Yeah, he's
It's
definitely an alien.
um
um.
yeah, Klaatu.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like the only thing I remember this film is like so many famous people is in this film. You know, we mentioned kind of Weaves and of course Jennifer Connelly's in here, but like John Hamm is in this. Like Kyle Chandler is in this movie as well. Um, and
Oh wow,
Kathy.
yeah.
Yeah, like
Everyone in this movie is a name.
exactly. And
It's
it's like
crazy.
so weird. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. So like I thought I think Scott Derrickson was a good pick for this film. And but at the same time, I feel like he is kind of like what is it like handcuff sometimes in this film.
Hmm.
You know, like he's trying to like he's like you see like some of like his horror sipping into certain scenes, but then it kind of pulls back a little bit too much, and I
Yeah.
feel like this film doesn't have too much personality from the director.
Hmm.
Like it feels more like a higher job than a passion project you've seen in the other films like Black Panther or the Guardians films, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
And um and he has I think he's very religious as well, like he's very Christian kind of person because
Okay.
like especially the films like
I know a lot of horror movies have.
yeah, like the Deliver Us from Evil or the Exorcisms of Emily Rose, like
Hmm.
and excuse me, like you do see that in this film a little bit. And those are the parts that I like about the film, about the like ethical, um, the ethical dilemma of like of immortality and like the power, like the use of power and like and control, like. those conversations I really like, 'cause especially with the H one. Like, I like her scene in the astral protection where
Hmm.
she was talking to Doctor Strange about like so many years being on this earth and like you know I can't remember. I saw the movie yesterday. I just forgot what she was saying in that scene. I that was like poignant and like I think really sums up the film as a whole. But I kind of wish we had more of that in the film, with the like ethical dilemma that we're dealing with. Um, but yeah, so what's the worst thing you think this movie did? Um, for you, like why it didn't kind of catch you like some of the other MCU films? Like I'm kind of curious. Um,
I think what you were saying about it not having like a directorial voice, like
mm,
it just feels very generic and it's like a color by numbers Marvel movie.
yeah.
Um, which
Uh,
like it does some things like exceptionally well, or at least like better than the Marvel movies that had come out before it.
mm.
Um, but there's so much that just kind of does the bare minimum that it's kind of
Like it's very vanilla.
yeah.
Like it's a very vanilla film. My worst thing about this film is that they don't go too far like into like the Doctor Strange comics. Like let's kind of take out the like psychedelic trippiness. It's more like can we just like get Strange with his supporting characters and villains that we know and put
Mhm.
them at first? Like you don't need to wait for the next film to get Mordo or Dormammu as the villains. Like I don't know why we pick like Matt Mikkelsen's villain, Cassilis. That's his name.
Caecilius, I think.
Yeah,
Or no, Caecilius.
or something like that.
I added a C in there before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I one of the most hardest villain name I ever heard,
Yeah,
and
it's hard.
it's like why you pick him. It's like
It was a pretty like obscure character.
yeah, it's just so weird. And like, where's Clea? Like why
Hmm.
we don't have her in this first film, and instead of we got Kristen Plummer. Now, if you're gonna make Clea mixed with Kristen Plummer, then it makes sense. Um,
Yeah, I've heard that they might be doing that in the sequel.
yeah, like we seen like the redhead lawn Kristen Plummer in the Illuminati world that we go to,
Hmm.
and it seems like she's like Clea. Like it, she does resemble her a little bit, especially with the costume she has, or like
Hmm.
the uniform she's wearing in that scene. Um, like those stuff. Like why we had to like 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 save some stuff for the sequels. Like you could do it in the first film and then expand upon it in the trilogy. Like I like I don't know. Like that bothers me because like the thing about the Marvel movies is like they never pay off the plot points and like it's never satisfying. Like
Hmm.
you got the Winter Soldier post credit scene with Strucker and like eh, and then when you enter into Avengers Age of Ultron and like it doesn't pay off as you were expecting.
Hmm.
And it's been I don't know how many years, like 2016, what, like 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21,
Six
like
years.
6 years. It's I like I get the actor is busy, but like I don't know, like do they ever remember that like post credit scene plot point? It's
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
we'll see when the sequel
yeah,
comes out. But,
yeah. I'm kind of curious. Oh, so before let's now get into like characters. Before Cumberbatch was cast, did you hear other names that was like throwing around before he was cast as Doctor Strange?
I know fans really wanted Joaquin Phoenix, and I think Marvel talked to him.
Yes, he was the studio's second choice. Um,
Right.
so,
Patrick Dempsey.
oh really? Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't know if you knew this. Um, Oscar Isaac was also considered.
Hmm.
He was the next choice, but he chose X-Men Apocalypse
Oof.
over this
Okay.
film. Well, because I heard like he was like a huge X-Men fan,
Oh, and
and
he just wanted to make sure that he had a role before the series ended.
yeah, like
Okay.
yeah, um, yeah. Well, he was like a huge X-Men fan. And he wanted to join the X-Men film that was after Days of Future Past, before we knew it was Apocalypse, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so he chose that over the Doctor Strange film, and I mean now he's going to be in Moon Knight, coming out in a couple of weeks, but but
Mm-hmm.
I respect that, and none of us knew Apocalypse was not going to be a good film, it's
Right.
like it was right after Days of Future Past, and it's like, well, you know what they're doing, but yeah, so like the big name that was like throw around if Cumberbatch could not commit to the character, Joaquin was the second choice. And I mean, I guess he could work. I just I don't know, like he will commit to be a franchise person.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's the thing.
That's the thing. Like I think he would have been really good, but he would never commit to coming back all the time.
Yeah,
Whereas Cumberbatch seems much more open to that.
yeah. Um yeah, and I will say I really like Benedict Cumberbatch in this role. I think he gets better in each movie we see him.
Yeah,
Um,
I think the characterization for Strange has gotten better over time.
yes. Um, I was shocked when I saw Infinity War. Like I started to like him more.
Yeah,
Um,
it's because he was more like what you expect Doctor Strange to be, and less like,
yeah,
yeah, Magic Tony Stark.
Magic, the Magic Tony Stark. Yeah. Um, yeah, yeah, this movie was just weird. Like, like they got like the Doctor Strange stuff right, but when they were trying to like input like you mentioned, the Marvel formula in the film,
Mm-hmm.
with the creepy humor and like the stuff we seen previously, like it doesn't fit with this film. Like, um, like another worst thing about this film is the humor. I want to
Mm-hmm.
get into that because that was another thing that I think I remember discussing with my friend and or a couple of my friends about this film. Like the humor was kind of like hit and miss sometimes. Um, what was the worst gag you didn't like? Um,
Um, the Beyonce one.
oh yeah, that one's very obvious. um, it was funny at first, but then I didn't like that we had to hear the Beyonce song when like one was reading a book. Like, why we
Mm-hmm.
need that? Like, I get
I,
like
yeah, I didn't even think it was funny the first time,
yeah,
but
yeah. That gag was just not good.
mm-hmm.
Another one I didn't like was the like was a strange like everyone was not calling strange doctor. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like I don't know, like I feel like that's just a tiring old gag. Like, no, I'm Doctor Stephen Strange. I'm like, really? I just I
Yeah.
don't know. That gag was just like it wasn't funny, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the other one I didn't like was like the cloak of levitation, like whipping out his tear. Um, from his face. I felt like that was going too far, I think. Um, yeah, so a lot of the jokes just didn't work for me in this film. Um, but I just, I don't know, like, just the humor was just not right. I just feel like they should have done was more like a dry humor, like kind of like Captain Marvel. Like, um, I know like Captain Marvel was not a good film, but one of the things I like about it is the humor wasn't going too far. Like it was a very dry film with the dry humor, and I think it worked better with Doctor Strange than just like slap comedy. The slapstick comedy. I just feel like it just didn't work with this film.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess um, I guess one thing I will say I think Benedict Cumberbatch does look like the character. I think he looks really great. I totally dug the costume. I think this is the best comic book accurate costume we got so far.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion on the eye of what is it? The eye of Agamotto being the container of the time stone? Like,
I remember at the time I didn't like it because it meant that it wasn't serving its like normal purpose from the comics. But he's used it since Endgame.
Yeah.
But so like I think what they've maybe retconned it to be is that like it's both. It's like the actual eye and also it held the time stone.
Okay.
Right, because he was still wearing it in Spider-Man.
Yes. Well, hold on, because you do see in the sequel trailer, like it's now in the cape. Hold on.
No, he was wearing it in Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's like I appreciate they didn't redesign too much of his costume because I never like in the MCU they always change their costumes in the next film.
Well, you gotta sell toys.
I know that, but I don't want that.
No, I don't either. But
like I
but
don't.
that is the reason.
Yeah. Yes, he actually does wear it in No Way Home. Yeah. It's weird because I'm looking at the picture. It's like it's down to his chest, but in the trailer for his next solo film, it's like up to his like neck. Um, like if you see the Doctor Strange 2 like stills, like it's much upper to his like neck. So they do like he has an update in this second film is in this franchise, and it looks great actually. I really like that. And his cape, I love his cape. It's great in the Doctor Strange too. Anyway, going back to the first film. So I was with you. I didn't like that either. But you mentioned before they used it multiple times after the first film. Like he used it in Infinity War and Endgame. He had it. No, he gave it to Thanos, and so he didn't
gave the
have.
stone. He gave the stone to Thanos. I think he still had the eye.
Yeah, the eye. I think. Yeah. And then I think now it's just gonna be like accessory, really, because
yeah, I think he won't use it for the time magic, but it could still be a source of magic.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think at the time it was just kind of like unoriginal. And it was kind of like, oh, we had to connect this to the overall cosmic, affinity storyline that we were building towards.
Right.
But yeah, but I think that was the one that was proven right. I think at the end. other thing excuse me, I think wasn't particularly good, or this is weird. I like the H one. I think to
Yeah.
Sween, Miss Sween, was a very good casting choice, but it was like I this is the most tone deaf casting I ever seen. Like the director say, oh, because the H1 was a racially stereotype, you know, mentor, right? And they were trying to do this like unexpected inverse thing, but then it's still a stereotypical casting, and
Yeah.
it was whitewashing at the same time, and I cannot believe they did it. And
Yeah.
what do you
Like
think? What do you think
I
about the
I
H1?
get I get the rationale of like wanting to avoid the stereotypes while still having the character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you could have just cast an Asian man and not like characterize the ancient one to be a stereotype.
Yeah,
Which I know Kevin Feige's come out more recently and said that he wished they had done that.
definitely.
But
Yeah, yeah, he
but
did
like
that.
they did it in that movie. Like Wong used to be a stereotypical Asian servant for Doctor Strange, and in the movie they still cast Benedict Wong, but they
Yeah.
made him like a real character that wasn't just a stereotype.
Yeah. Um, I was thinking this just now. Like, if you weren't like I'm projecting this because of recently with the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we just make one the H1? Like, I don't know, because because you just mentioned before, like we made one a character. Like he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the servant like in the comics, and so like I don't know. Like, I mean, Benedict Wong was well known. So I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
like, and then I also think they could. I mean, this could easily be Michelle Yeoh as the H1. Like
Mm-hmm.
you,
That'd be good. That'd be good.
you know, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't know like how far she was cast in Volume 2 of Guardians, because that was where we first saw her before she was like recast again in Shang-Chi.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think this role could have been for her or some other like uh her other co-star from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Like she could have been a good other H1, or I mean
Yeah. I mean, there's tons of actors that could have played the role,
exactly.
and done a good job. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to get that out of the way because I know that was just it was just weird, and but I don't know. It was a different time, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, it was only 6 years ago, but like a lot has happened in those 6 years.
6 years,
But
yeah.
like, still, like they knew enough to not make it a stereotype. You think they'd like think
Yeah,
about it just that little bit more.
yeah. That, that always bugs me. Like it was it the year before 2015. There was a movie called what was it? Hawaii or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, yeah,
The
yep,
Cameron Crowe film where Emma
yeah.
Stone was supposed to be what, Asian,
Half
half,
eight. Yeah, I
and
forget. I
yeah,
didn't
like
see the movie, so I
no. I haven't seen it, but when I heard that, I was like, really?
don't.
Half Asian and half American. I was like, I mean, when you say half Asian, half American, I was like,
Well, half
okay,
white.
yeah, but not Emma Stone, like,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, oh my god, yeah, it just boggles your mind, like how far these studios just get away of things, like so many years. It's just horrible. But getting back to the H1, I think Swinton was a great actor. I think she's the standout for me for this film. I think she really has good chemistry with Benedict Cumberbatch. I really love her fight scene before she died. I think she really like just sells that so well. And her conversation with Doctor Strange before she died was really touching and just so poignant, and I really liked that. And that's when I got into the film more. Because the first two acts was just like typical origin story, and all that. Um, any more thoughts on the Asian one? I think we kind of covered that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I like that she was like Celtic, or she was supposed to be. They don't mention it in the movie, but she's supposed to be Celtic, which is like Irish, like ancient Irish.
Oh.
So it made the like mystical space feel more international. Like,
yeah. Okay.
But again, like it should have been an Asian person. But
yeah.
But like if they're gonna do that, I liked that it made it feel more global, unless like it was like centered in Tibet.
Yeah, that's true. It was it's weird. Like you got the it was cool to see the second Sartorium in the film. It was funny if you had 3 locations, right, around the world. Like you think they have multiple around the world, like
more than 3.
Yeah, like
yeah.
Because you mentioned the natural thing. I appreciate that, but then they didn't go forward with it in this film, and it was just weird.
Yeah, it would make sense for them to have bases like in all of the major like cities. Like,
yeah,
at the very least, they should have had London in there.
Yes,
instead of they should have had like their base in the mountains. Hong Kong made sense. New York made sense.
Yeah.
London,
Paris.
Yeah, it's pretty close to London.
What? Wait! You're telling me that Paris cannot have its own section of magical?
I mean, it could. It's just like, I don't know. I'd want them to be a little more spread out than like right across the English Channel. But
okay. So you're telling me that Belgium is not gonna have one?
Have one in every country, and there's like 300.
Exactly. Oh my God. I think this is a good time to discuss this. What do you think about the magic? Because I like well, so this is where I like the layer films. Like the reason I like Infinity War the most is because they went far with the magic with Doctor Strange, and I don't think the magic here is so creative, or like it's just very tame, and like it's not original. What's your opinion on the magic in this film?
I agree with what you're saying about like the later movies, especially Infinity War, getting the magic right. I just like visually the magic is very
like it's
the same visual over and over again. Like it's just the orange light.
Yeah.
And it gets kind of boring.
Yeah.
And repetitive. Whereas in Infinity War, he's like shooting out I forget the name of the bands, but he's like
I know what you're talking about.
Crimson Bands of something.
Something, yeah.
And then he's turning stuff into butterflies and
that
all
moment.
The limbs. It was more visually interesting and varied.
And then like I then there was like stuff like the portals, like why they need the
sling rings
to just correct that. Like, can you just do it by magic? This was going too far with the Thor thing, like, oh, it's magic and science, and it's like, don't do that. Like, this is where I like Shang-Chi, because they actually embraced the magical.
Yeah, it's just magic.
exactly. You know, it's like why? Yeah, it was just weird. Okay, I'm looking at where is this? Former powers. Oh my god. I'm looking at it. Yeah, it was Ren the Christmas something, whatever you were saying. But yeah,
Hmm.
so uh, and then what else? The mirror dimension. That's another one. I, I they we seen this in No Way Home. What's your opinion on it? Because I personally don't care about the mirror dimension. I don't like it's too much like Inception and like I see when I saw they did like a short preview of like when Strange went into like the psychedelic trip he had.
Hmm.
I thought we're gonna get that in the mirror dimension or whenever they go into area or something like that.
Hmm.
I I just personally don't care about the mirror dimension. I just think it's too tame and just it's too much like Inception. Really, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
Do you like it?
I like the visuals.
Okay,
I don't think we need to keep going back there. I think there are other
yeah,
things that would be more interesting, but
I
I don't
yeah,
have uh, a problem with it, I
okay,
guess, to the extent that you do. But
yeah. I I I don't know. Maybe it's just like I mean it's just I think the more fact that they're not being very creative inside the mirror dimension.
hmm,
Like you couldn't done maybe more with it, you know. But
yeah,
yeah, whatever. Okay, so let's get into other characters. Let's get into what do you want to go with, the villain or the love interest? Because I
let's do the love interest first.
okay, so um I think I mentioned this like a couple podcasts before, but like I think Christine Plummer is maybe the most mature love interest we have in the MCU. I think they did a good job of handling like a relationship like
Hmm.
well realistically in a film. Um, I do have this problem where it's very forgettable and like sometimes you kind of forget we actually have a love interest in this first film. Um,
Hmm.
but I mean I think more recently we got more Christine in the What If, and then now with the Doctor Strange 2 film coming out in a
Hmm.
couple months. What's your opinion on Kristen Plummer and Rachel McAdams' performance as well?
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't have a lot to do in this
Yeah,
movie.
right.
Um, like, I don't know, like, I know Rachel McAdams is a good actress, so like,
Yeah,
there's potential for future movies. Like, I hope Multiverse of Madness kind of shows off her like acting chops a bit more, and gives the character more to do. That what if episode really expanded
more.
like her characterization, which
Yeah,
is there's like a 20-minute episode, but or
yeah.
25. It had way more characterization for her than
In this in
the
this
two
movie,
hour movie.
yeah. Yeah. It's so weird. It's also weird, like stuff like he's not Cole Strange Supreme in Doctor Strange 2, but like we got like a sinister Strange that's like identical to the one in What If. Like it's so
Could be the one from What If,
yeah.
which I
Um
know I was hesitant to say before. That's because I didn't want it to be the one from What If, but there's definitely in the posters you can see like Captain Carter's shield, so they're definitely going in there.
yeah. Um Great, marketing and business decision and just have a show that shows you every multiverse thing and then you're gonna get it for real.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I mean, because this movie, like, there's another thing about this movie I don't understand. Like, I like that the Marvel movies do a good job of structuring their films and like timing it very well. compared to DC, where DC has so much, like they do every like 2.5 hour film, which is okay, but like it does drag your film too much. Where Marvel does a good job of like timing their movies to either a 1 hour or 2 hour film. But that's been a problem with like the first two um Thor films we discussed last year. The hour was way too short for them, and they didn't have enough time to expand their universe. And
Hmm.
this has been a big problem with the Incredible Hulk, the 2008 film, where that is way too short, and like they didn't do enough to get you into that universe. And this film, I feel like just didn't like allow the Doctor Strange world to be more fleshed out,
Hmm.
and give some characters the development they need, like Plummer has,
Hmm.
where like she's there from the beginning, and then she's completely gone from the second half, and then come back a little bit in the third act, and it's like just not right. You need another extra hour to develop the relationship in this character.
Yeah.
And I hope the sequel is much longer so we have more time to develop ideas.
I have a feeling it will be.
Yeah,
Just I hope it is based on how much it seems like they're juggling. Because if it's 2 hours again,
yeah,
that's gonna be way too much.
yeah. Um, yeah, we'll see. Um, yeah, and I I'm not familiar with Clea, but like, do you have any reason why they didn't use that character? And like, um, you know, but before we theorized that maybe it's gonna be like a variant version, but like, why didn't they use her? Um,
Yeah. They probably wanted Strange to have like a connection to his life as a surgeon.
okay.
Because if you just have Clea, then he has no reason to like care about going to New York again.
That's true.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know.
well, and I tried to, and I just remember this. You mentioned the Doctor Strange Oath comic book,
Hmm.
and there's a night nurse that's
Yeah.
is another character that tags along with Strange and One.
Hmm.
So I do wonder, choosing the version of night nurse here, Kristen Palmer, as like it was a little nod to that graphic novel, because we do have a couple of that of here in this film. Like, I mentioned West is
Hmm.
in this film, and like and the hands, like it's or the concept art, if you've seen what Darrison mentioned, is like directly from that storyline.
Yeah.
So so I wasn't thinking about the oath, because I wasn't familiar with that um story, but it's very influenced in this film a little bit. So
Hmm.
yeah, so but yeah, and then anything else with Plumber that we need to discuss? Like, I think that's all we have for the love interest.
Yeah, I don't have too much more. I mean, he's horrible to her in this movie. Um,
Oh yeah,
like,
I don't know, like, was it harsh? Because I I don't
yeah,
know.
I mean, she is doing so much to help him recover after his
It's
accident, and then yeah.
I mean, I yeah, um, yeah, and I guess one thing I'll say, I appreciate they didn't get together at the end,
Hmm.
so that was a good move. I'm curious, like, are we seeing? Because we saw like a shot where Strange and her getting married. Is that
I
for
don't
le-
know. I don't think she's marrying Strange. I think she's marrying someone else, and Strange is at the wedding.
Okay, okay, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
um,
I think that's gonna be the opening
oh,
of the
you think it'll
movie.
be the opening? Okay, that's I think that could be possible, because we got another shot of her. in the wedding dress, and like when she was coming out from the church, and it's like something
Mm.
is going on. So um, very curious. And then let's get into the other supporting character that I think has been the one character they bring back so many times and has been so wonderful is Juan.
Hmm.
I think Juan is amazing. Um, I think, well, I just like Strange. I think his next appearance are better than this first film, but I think this first film did a good job of handling this character and um, what potential he has. I never expect one to be the Sorcerer Supreme ever. So that's saying something. So what's your opinion on one on this first film and then his overall journey in the MCU?
Yeah, I love how they reinvented the character.
Yep, same here.
Um, yeah, I don't know. He's a good partner for Strange, which is better than him being a servant.
Servant. Yes.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think Benedict Wong brings a good like humor to the role. Um,
Yes.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I will still laugh. I think this gag is funny. Is him not like Strange trying to make him laugh, and then towards the end he actually laughs.
yeah,
Like that gets to me
yeah.
when yeah, how he starts
Like
laughing.
the joke itself that makes him laugh is not funny, but
Yes,
him laughing, like the way Benedict Wong
does
does
it?
that, is funny to me.
Yes. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's so funny. And I like the first interaction with him was Strange. He's like, can I Strange asking he wants to get one of those books and he's like say no.
Mhm.
It's so great. Yeah, my favorite moments from one is him seeing the karaoke and in the post credit scene on Shang-Chi.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
that
I
was
love
one.
how chaotic he's gotten. Like
Yeah,
each appearance.
yeah, it's true. Like
Yeah.
oh my god, it's so funny, and I love this line from Infinity War. Like my favorite is the Hawk fudge thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, it's yeah, he's. But then it's funny. He's the Sorcerer Supreme, and like he's so like I, it's just so funny. So I'm really excited for his role in Doctor Strange 2 now with
Hmm.
the information with No Way Home that he's like the next Sorcerer Supreme. Um I guess we're at that that part I mentioned, the Sorcerer Supreme. Are you happy we did that in this version of Doctor Strange? Like this Strange is not the Sorcerer Supreme like the comics. And
He was for a bit.
oh, so he wasn't long term. Oh, okay.
No, like he was the Sorcerer Supreme after this movie, and then he got snapped, and Wong became the Sorcerer Supreme.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mentioned like not being from the comics, like not making Strange like I wasn't expecting like because I thought maybe one day we'll make a movie about him becoming the Sorcerer Supreme.
Mm.
It's just weird that we're not gonna get
But
that.
it just kind of happened off screen.
Yeah.
Maybe there could be one where he like takes it over from Wong.
If
Maybe.
yeah, if they do the oath, like it's actually
Hmm.
a perfect transition to the Sorcerer Supreme again. But
Yeah.
yeah, okay, yeah. I yeah, that's another thing about this movie. Other like initial plans that you think is gonna go somewhere doesn't get pay off well.
Hmm.
But yeah. So okay, we mentioned one. Let's get into the other one. Mordor. That's his name.
Mordo. Yeah.
Yeah, Mordo. What do you think about him? I think he's a great villain. From the comics, I think he's really interesting, and I like his depiction in this film.
Hmm.
I like we didn't start him right away as a villain. I like he, slowly became that in the film, and I'm excited for his return in Doctor Strange 2 finally.
Yeah.
Uh, Yeah. Nice hair locks, by the way, in the
Oh
trailer.
yeah, his dreadlocks look great.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, do you think it's a variant, or do you think that's
I
the Mordo from this movie?
no, I think it's a variant because you can see him when Strange is arrested, and
Hmm.
it's before you see like the back of Patrick Stewart's Professor X,
Hmm.
and you're seeing I can see the Master Morta like coming into that scene before we get that quick shot of Professor X back. So
Hmm.
I feel like he is a variant because in the mentioned the toy lines, it's it,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
it's
those always have spoilers.
yeah, it's he's being called Master Mordor, and like I we never say that in this film, so I feel like that's more of a variant, like
Mm,
kind of like
okay.
Strange Supreme,
Yeah.
or
Okay.
Defender Strange,
Right.
we see in the trailers. So, um, but yeah, but it could be the real Mordor, like it could be like the Harry Potter Goblet of Fire situation where uh one eye what's that,
Mad Eye Moody
yeah,
was
like,
pretending to be,
yeah,
or no, Barty Crouch Jr. was pretending to be Mad Eye Moody
yeah,
the
it
whole
could be
time.
that.
Yeah,
But I mean right now I feel like it's like a variant of,
probably a variant.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so
Okay.
but I think I think I'm like so excited to get back to that character because I feel like he's the one character I feel like we're kind of wasting after this first film, and I
Hmm.
kind of wish we get back to it finally.
Hmm.
But what do you think about his role in this film? I think
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Ejiofor is such a good actor.
Oh yes.
Um,
Oh
so yeah, I just happy to have him involved.
yeah.
Um,
Um yeah. I like his costume screen.
mhm.
It's kind
Yeah,
of quite
yeah, his
sir.
costume looks good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I yeah. Yeah. I
yeah.
kind of wish like we had like that black, like almost like uh, a cool kind of lining in his costume, like we
Mm,
see in the comics. But I think his costume in the second film is much better. I think. Um, but
mhm.
yeah. Um, but okay. Any more to say about that character before we get into the main villain we have in this film?
No, I'm
Um,
ready to move on to Caecilius.
yeah. Okay, so this is where I'm like conflicted. Like I love Mads Mikkelsen. He's a great actor. I love him in Casino Royale. He's a great villain there.
Hmm.
He's really great in Rogue One, the
Hmm.
the Star Wars story. And and then he's great, of course, in Hannibal and the Hannibal show. And I think he was a great pick, but I don't know, like he's probably the most forgettable villain, but like he's the most interesting villain. And this is the beginning of Phase 3 where we're getting better villains.
Hmm.
Because I mean, Phase 2 had good villains, but it it did suffer the problem where it was like a lot of weak villains kind of had more discussion during Phase 2.
I don't think Phase Two had good villains.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I mean, it had you had
I mean,
Winter Soldier had good villains. Um,
yeah,
Ultron
Ultron,
should have been
yeah,
good.
should be
Uh,
good.
um,
I mean, even Roland should have been good,
he
but like
should have
he
been
was,
better.
yeah,
Yeah,
should have been better. Yeah.
but like, yeah, Yellow Jacket not good.
Ugh. Yeah.
Malekith not good.
Oh my God. I don't want
Uh,
to think about that one.
Killian not good.
Yeah. I mean, that could have been good if they didn't do the twists, but they
Okay,
did.
I mean, yeah, we have different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we get to Iron 3, like, I think there's things about Guy Pearce's character, like, interesting, but then I just wish his motivation was more clear in the film and
Yeah,
just more
but
discussion.
I I would say Caecilius feels like a Phase Two villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just I I get you want to save the big villains in the next films, like like Christopher Nolan did that with Joker,
Hmm.
and I think that's it. I mean, because the X-Men films always have been using Magneto, and I mean Thor used Loki right away, which is good. Um,
Hmm.
but I don't know, like why choose this character? I mean, just I get you want to save Mordo for a potential sequel, or but like I think you can easily use Dormammu as the villain,
Hmm.
but I don't know. Um, I'm not really fun with his design. That's another thing. His design is very genetic, and like
Hmm.
if you've seen the constant art for this character, it's way more creepy and more like fascinating to see than the final version we have here. Um,
Hmm.
I feel like there was way more potential to like make his look more interesting than just bland, really. Um, but it was cool to see the mindless ones.
Hmm.
So like that was cool. But why couldn't we use them as the villains? Like I feel like the villain here was just like an afterthought, really. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's like another one of the tropes of just the origin story has to have an evil version of the hero, like it's
Yeah,
just another sorcerer.
yeah. I and this is where I want to get into like Derrickson. Like, he's definitely passionate for this character in his universe, and he mentioned like Nightmare so many times, and like,
Hmm. Yeah, he
eh,
really wanted Nightmare to be the villain in the sequel.
yeah, and I'm curious if we're gonna get that still, because we have one line that's like Strange mentioned, like, oh, it was like a nightmare, and like
Yeah,
I
I
you know I
I
don't know.
doubt. I don't know. I think there's too much going on for Nightmare to be involved.
I think you can. He could be a variant of Strange. Think about it.
Oh, I wouldn't like that.
Oh, you don't like
No.
that?
Oh, I know it's possible.
I
Oh
mean,
man.
like the zombie Strange. I mean, he kind of looks like Nightmare for me, but I I don't know. I'm just speculating if that is ever gonna happen. Like, because sometimes we have to simplify the villain to fit in the universe, and it just makes sense to make Nightmare either a variant, or he's like from another dimension, like a multiverse we haven't seen.
Hmm.
Um, but my question is, could we use Nightmare as the villain for this first film, or you think it could have gone too far?
Um, I don't know. I liked what they did with Dormammu, and I don't know if you
Yes,
could have had that with Nightmare.
I,
I
I,
don't know. I would have had like beefed up Mordo's role, um, instead of having Caecilius like develop Mordo more, and then have it be like a very personal conflict between Stephen and Mordo.
yeah. I kind of wish we got that for the sequel, but you mentioned before it's going to be more like we're making Strange as this big blockbuster franchise.
Hmm.
Um, I think they couldn't like I because I like the third act of the film. I like I'm trying to remember what was like Cancela's villain plan. Like I can't remember his villain plan now. It's like was he
Um,
tapping the dark dimension to what? Like I mean to
yeah, I don't even remember.
that's
Um,
that's the problem. Is that if you maybe have more emphasis on the villain plot, I think you could have had a better villain with Nightmare, because like you have like a scarecrow villain here where he's going to use fear against people, and like you have the dream dimension, like you couldn't have like an actual exception, but like in a horror sense, but I don't know.
mhm.
But so yeah. uh yeah, that's the villain. But I mean, I guess getting into Dormammu, I think it was cool to see his character. I was expecting him in like full
Hmm.
in the film. I kind of wish they kept. I think I remember that Tony Todd was supposed to voice the character before Cumberbatch did it, and I I kind of wish they kept that voice because it's just weird to have Cumberbatch voice this character. I I because like yeah, because the producers asked him to do a recording session, and because they wanted another voice to alternate Cumberbatch, they then I went back to the oh my god, it's just so bizarre.
Mm.
Yeah, so yeah, so so Tony Todd was supposed to be the initial voice, but then they made Carmichael do the voice at the end. So really bizarre choice. Anyway, what do you think about his design? I mean, it's okay. Actually I like his design. It's very
I like it.
psychedelic. Yeah.
Yeah, and the weird like undulating like darkness design kind of looks like how they used to draw flames in the comics,
Oh
which
yes.
I liked. Um, with like the weird, yeah.
Weird.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. I love that whole sequence.
Yes, I really enjoy it. One of the best endings for superhero films.
Hmm.
I just love that the Dharma just kind of realize what is going on. It's like what is happening.
Yeah.
Oh my
Just
god.
man, the idea that like a entity from a dimension that doesn't have time wouldn't understand what time was. Like that was a
Yes.
cool idea.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. That
yeah.
was really cool. And it was cool to see a superhero using his wits. Then
Hmm. Yeah,
uh,
it's not just like a power battle.
yeah,
He's not just punching the bad guy until he wins. He's
yeah,
like outsmarting him. Yeah.
yeah. That was the thing I really appreciate about this film was just
Hmm.
having like just a new like just thinking in your head and then just fighting because like the last couple years it was just like falling skies and then or the portal open the
Yeah,
portal
lots of
in
sky beams.
sky beams like Suicide Squad had that. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my god, it was refreshing to have a more scaled down like finale for Doctor
Hmm.
Strange and it fit with the character too. That was another thing I liked about it, that it
Yeah, and there
just
were still cool visuals involved. Like
yeah.
I absolutely adore the that the finale is like they come in and the typical superhero finale like is already happening and Hong Kong's being destroyed and he just
Yes.
comes in and like reverses it.
Yes. I yeah. Oh my god. It was like you ever seen Dexter's Laboratory when like I think Dexter made like the loop belt and like DG was playing around with it. It was like that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh my god. The finale was great and it fit it did a good job also to like wrap things up with the themes and the conversation we had throughout the film
Hmm.
and about the power thematics and immortality and the use of the dark dimension like it all wrapped up very well with the finale, which is good.
Hmm.
So that was pretty good. um okay. um Anything else we have to discuss for Doctor Strange?
I think I've talked about everything that I liked and didn't like about the movie.
Yeah, same here.
Okay.
um I mean, I never discussed the credit scenes we have. The post credit scene, and
Mhm.
I mean they're good. I mean, the Thor one was pretty cool because the gloves. Um,
Yeah, we saw like a slightly more accurate. comic accurate costume than what was in the movie.
Yeah. By the way, what's going on with the gloves? Like he's not wearing the gloves, and it's weird we're having like the Thor film. Doctor Strange has the gloves there. I don't understand that.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't. They decided it like didn't make sense for Cumberbatch to be wearing them while he was doing stuff. Like maybe it was too much of a problem.
I
But
I guess so, but you couldn't
he does a
easily.
lot of like finger movements as Doctor Strange.
That's true.
Like I don't know, it might be harder or it might look weird with the gloves on.
I don't know. Like you can make it like make the gloves a little more like smaller, and then
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
I
I
uh,
don't know.
I that's the other thing. It's weird with Strange. It's like we did a good job of depicting this character, but then we go from this radical depiction. I, you know, from the Sorcerer Supreme to one, this is the weirdest one for me. It's like, where's the gloves? But yeah, you're right. I mean, it doesn't make sense if he's doing the movements of his fingers every time. But I don't know. It just adds some color in his costume because it's red and blue, conveniently like Spider-Man's costume. But
Yeah, a lot of costumes.
well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Since Superman. But yeah. But yeah, so I just want to mention that one because I did remember I was like, well, where's the gloves? I remember it in the Thor post-credit scene we have in this film.
Mhm.
And yeah. So uh any more thoughts for the first Doctor Strange film? Um
I mean, I liked how brutal the car crash was.
oh yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they
Um
didn't shy away from that.
no, I think it was well handled. I mean, his origin story was well handled. I just didn't. I was just going through the motions, really.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I really love Doctor Strange's origin story.
mm,
Um,
okay.
like
Um,
it might be my favorite Marvel origin story. I'm weighing it against Spider-Man. Um,
yeah. Or Iron Man.
Spider-Man probably wins,
I
but I don't know. Like um,
hmm,
I don't know. Like the characterization that he had in this movie, and then the fact that the like training montage
mhm,
was so quick kind of makes the adaptation here not as good for
right.
me.
Mhm,
But they nailed the car crash part.
okay.
Yeah.
Um, this is good. We're mentioning the origin story and the car crash. My opinion, I think they didn't. They did really didn't. Ugh. Oh my god, twist. I got my tongue twist. Um,
Mhm.
I don't think they really needed to do the superhero origin story for Doctor Strange here. Like, I think they could have done the like Batman '89 or like the Thor. Like he was pre-established.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I think that
or
would have worked too. I mean, when he premiered in the comics, it wasn't an origin story. He just
yeah,
was. Yeah.
yeah. Um, or uh, I agree with you. I think I do like the Strange origin story. I think there were other options they could have done, but I feel like the consensus of people were comparing it to too many movies. Like I mentioned Inception. A lot of people mentioned Batman Begins when the trailer came out for this film, and I I feel like you can do maybe flashbacks, like do a non-linear origin story for Doctor Strange.
Mm.
I think that could have been more of a engaging film. Like
Mm.
the reason I like Batman Begins, or the reason Batman Begins work, is that you have this very good device to tell what why he became Batman and why he went to that journey. You know, why
Mhm.
you see him training. in the first half of Batman Begins. I think they should have done that, for this character, and or just do pretty established hero movies. Like, we don't need origin story. This and Captain Marvel has this problem where, like, you don't need the origin story for these characters, really, because I feel like they're just going from the emotions, unfortunately, for me. Especially this film. Unfortunately, I just because like when you get to the third act where he's already strange and he has the cape and all that, it's a way more interesting film at the end than the beginning.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, and then we didn't mention like the Iron Man comparison. I feel like it was very unfair because Stark was always a serious character in the comics and even the cartoons, but like it's because the first Iron Man film was so successful and like it did have like parts from the Strange origin story, but it was just I wish they were. I think they were thinking too much of what people were saying and not making not focusing on the film that we're making, and it's just my opinion, Yeah. So, any more thoughts before we wrap?
No, I think that's it for me.
All right. So next week we're gonna have the podcast on Friday, Will. And what discussion you want to go now? Do another movie discussion, or where you want to go?
I don't know, I'm up for whatever.
Okay. Well, we haven't done a ranking for like characters or villains. Like, you want to do that?
Okay. Sure. Is that
yeah.
Comics or MCU?
What do you think? You want to do an MCU ranking of the villains, or you want
to?
You want to do
MCU?
Okay, well, let's do that. I think that would be fun.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I start half of it for me. Like, I start half of my list of MCU villains, but
okay.
I need to complete that. So okay, so we can do that Friday. So okay. So thank you, Will, for joining me for today. It was a really awesome discussion, I think.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I want to thank everyone for listening to this podcast. Me and Will be back for a early podcast for Friday, so I can watch The Batman on Sunday. So
that's coming out.
Yeah, you didn't know?
Wild.
Yeah, it's coming in Friday, March 4th, buddy. I mean, oh my God.
Friday. This Friday is not March 4th. That's 2 weeks from now.
Really? Oh, no. Wait.
This Friday is the 25th.
Wait, hold on. Let me check my schedule. I'm sorry. What's today? The 20. Oh, sorry. Oh, no. You're right. The 25th. So that's the following week, folks. I'm sorry. We're going to have our podcast still on Sunday.
Okay.
Oh my God. Yeah, this is definitely a crazy month for me. Well, anyway, thank you everyone for listening to this podcast. Maybe we'll be back again in our regular scheduling on Sundays. So have a nice weekend and see you guys soon.